My family, like many families in America, has been touched by tobacco-related disease and death. My father died of lung cancer when I was 14 years old. He was 53. 2 packs of Camels a day. He had lung cancer and died at that age. I still remember it to this day, though it happened over 60 years ago. I'm not alone in that. There's so many families that can tell that story, sadly. And because of it, I've really focused on stopping big tobacco from addicting more and more Americans and sentencing them to death in many instances because of their deadly products. Over the years, I've had some success. It was over 25 years ago that I banned smoking on airplanes. Senator Frank Lautenberg picked up the bill over here on the Senate side, carried it successfully. It was signed into law. It changed, we didn't realize at the time, it just changed America's attitude toward smoking. It was indeed a tipping point. But I've been watching big tobacco ever since. Their approach to building their market is very basic. They have to lure children into the addiction. Kids that are not mature enough to say no pick up the addiction of smoking and end up carrying it to their graves if they're not careful. And so we've, over the years, put warnings on cigarette packages, raised the price beyond the reach of children, and done everything that we could. Well, these big tobacco interests are not discouraged. They found a new product that is wildly popular among young people that creates a similar addiction. It's called e-cigarettes or vaping. Ask any of your kids in high school, ask the teachers in those schools and the principals, what's going on with vaping in your schools today? You'll find it is wildly popular, and kids are taking it up. And many of them switch from the vaping products to tobacco products, and ultimately at the expense of their health. That is what's happened. So we basically said to the Food and Drug Administration, you have a responsibility to regulate this. They can't put their products on the shelves without you taking a look at it. Well, let me tell you the story of what has happened. These companies have flooded the market with addictive vaping devices. Companies like Juul, which is partially owned by the tobacco companies, and they promoted their products to children. For years, none of these devices were legally authorized, and yet they poisoned the developing brains and bodies of our kids. Who was supposed to be the cop on the beat? The Food and Drug Administration in Washington, but they were nowhere to be found. After years and years of the FDA failing to regulate e-cigarettes, listen to this, a federal district court stepped in and mandated that the Food and Drug Administration fulfill its statutory public health duty. On Friday, the Food and Drug Administration submitted an update on this agency's long overdue review of e-cigarette applications. Listen to this. In it, the Food and Drug Administration admitted it will not finish reviewing e-cigarettes until July 2023. Nearly 2 years past the court's deadline of last September. This is a stunning disclosure. This means that Juul and other e-cigarettes that kids get hooked on in the nicotine contained in the product and which have not received an authorization from the FDA may continue to be sold with impunity for more than a year. Imagine the thousands of students who will become addicted to these products while the FDA dawdles. What's most incredible to me is that this outcome is not inevitable. In fact, if it wanted to, the Food and Drug Administration, before the end of business today, could remove these products by regulation from the shelves of America. That's right. Addictive e-cigarettes like Juul are only on store shelves because the FDA has given the tobacco companies a free pass to sell their vaping products. This is just wrong. This is exactly the opposite of the intent of the law. With this decision, the FDA is complicit in endangering the health of America's kids. That is a powerful statement, but I stand by it. The law is very clear. No tobacco product is supposed to be on store shelves unless its manufacturer proves to the FDA prior to marketing that it is appropriate for public health. How in the world could you prove that a vaping cigarette, e-cigarette, is in some way appropriate for the protection of public health? It is just the opposite, and we all know it. So today I'm beginning by calling on the FDA to immediately halt its enforcement discretion and remove all unauthorized e-cigarettes from the market. Don't allow Juul and the other tobacco companies one more day of addicting our children. Stop cowering before big tobacco's highly paid lawyers. We've seen too many years of delay by the FDA to the point where the court had to order them to finally exercise their obligations under the law. And we've seen too many kids hooked on e-cigarettes. If the Food and Drug Administration needs more time to review applications, protect our kids and clear the market of big tobacco's poison while you're doing it. Nothing less than the health and well-being of our children is on the line. Mr. President, I yield the floor.